You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. There's not literally a lot of information about it, but I did a review about a couple of these products, and most time we're going to get like an Android or a Linux kind of a device built in with some emulators. So I'm curious today, what are we going to get, how good is this thing, or better said sometimes, how bad? So when it comes to this device, we're going to get HDMI, yeah, and that is something that is not common. A high performance CPU, wireless controllers, and a DF card extension. So here we can see already like a support of the devices. We're going to get MAME, Game Boy, Advanced, then we're going to get Famicom, Mega Drive, Super Famicom, and the Game Boy Color. So in my opinion, it's not a lot, but better a couple of systems down one or nothing. But let's take a close look in the inside. The stealth stick is basically something I personally gave it a name because I just want to give it something else of a name, because this wireless game stick, they always call these things wireless game sticks, sometimes 4K, but it has nothing to do with 4K. They're just saying like it's 4K support. It's kind of weird, but so I do like the looks of this stick, and yeah, even the protection cap has more like a cool form factor. It's an HDMI connection, and the reason I'm saying HDMI, some have like this AV out plug on the outside and they call it a stick. It's kind of confusing, but what you're going to get is not a lot. Here we're going to get the input for a micro USB 5 volt, then we're going to get the SD card, and yeah, the HDMI connection over here. But the thing that I don't like is that there is no USB connection, so the dongle is inside, or the connection. And the biggest bummer about this is very simple. So when you're having like problems with your controllers, maybe you drop one, it gets broken, you will have an issue, because there is no way of basically reconnecting a different controller. So it's like a chip-to-the-chip device, and this is one of the things that you will see with a device like this. A basic explanation like the glossy toilet paper manuals with no really good information. The controllers are knockoffs from the PlayStation 2, but they look kind of different. So here you can see like one of the form factors that are different. So when you're looking at the controls, they are not the baddest, so I'm glad to give you at least like normal controllers. How they play is of course something we need to try out, but the touch itself, it's not comparable with the PlayStation 2 controllers, but it's not bad at all. We're actually going to get rubbery joysticks, because when you're looking at some of these joysticks, they're like more plastic-ish and like they're like awful. Let's put it that way. But let's plug it in, show you how you need to do that, because this is actually like a plug-and-play stick, so let's go. Alright, so let's take a closer look at what we're going to get. So first of all, you need to connect your USB connection. So there's only one downside. My monitor doesn't have any USB connection, but your television maybe has, and has 5 volt on it. So I'm going to use a separate power supply for that. It will be like a 5 volt phone charger. Yeah, and your HDMI, let's plug out of my cable. And the thing that I need to do is plug in the dongle like this. Take in consideration, these things are quite wide and sometimes they don't fit. I already have some issues over here. But I have my television somewhere, like I'm having an in-depth port, and you can just not plug them in. I can see like there's some minor modifications over here, so the plastics will have the option to plug it in slightly deeper, but here we're going to get some issues sometimes. Just wanted to point out, and you need an extension, and we're not going to get one. Okay, so let's take a close look at the controls again, because first of all what we need to do is putting some freaking batteries in it. Again, you don't need to do any reconnecting because it will do that automatically. Okay, so let's plug in the batteries. Okay, the next thing that we need to do, we're having here a player 1 and player 2, so we need to set up player 1. It's already on player 1, but you just need to do it like that. And that's the only thing that you need to do, and we're ready to go. Okay, so let's take a close look at the menu itself. So first we're going to get the all list. It's going to be one big gigantic pile of a list, like they don't even use the full names. What a big mess. So next up we're having search. So let's see what we can do with this. So let's say we're going to search for Mortal Kombat like always. But here we're going to get an issue. Like you can see like the naming is not correct, so we're not going to get all the results. Like look at this, like they did search for Mortal Kombat somehow, but it's like freaking messy. Okay, so then we're going to get type. This is something I do like. So we're going to get support for MAME, Famicom, like basically what the box says. And there is no PlayStation 1, surprisingly, to be honest. So because I have seen a lot of these plug-and-play sticks from the same price range, or a little bit more expensive, that have the option. So next up, let's see where we're going to get a recent played, and then we're going to get settings. With settings, we're going to get option to Chinese, or I think it's Chinese, and English, and we're having volume control, kind of weird thing to put in a menu. And that's it, like no aspect ratio, nothing at all. But we do have an option to make a quick load, quick save. It's kind of weird basic option. Pressing select and start in the game, this is what you're going to get. Continue, exit, you can make a save slot. Or yeah, I think you just need to remember which slot you use because there's no screenshot whatsoever. You can see there is already one save file because we can load up number 1. But that's it. Alright, so I can say that the audio is completely messed up. You can just hear that it is not sounding like it should be. So when it comes to emulation performance, it's quite awful. The FPS is okay. Alright, so next up, let's try NES game, and oh man, it's getting even like worse now. Like, look at this glitching. Oh boy. I don't know what kind of backend it's running, but it has some glitches here and there, like freaking unbelievable. How can you mess up the freaking 8-bit system? Oh. But another thing I noticed, like when I'm going into the list for the Super Famicom, look at this. Like, everything is messed up, like there is no picture. They're using weird language files on this, it's like a freaking mess. Okay, so next up let's try a Mega Drive game. So I don't know what's going on with the screen, but so far so good when it comes to the emulation performance. We didn't have the weird stuff that I've seen before with all the other systems. So they didn't mess up everything. But I can hear like all the sound effects are completely different. Alright, so next up, and I just wanted to try a GBA game. It looks awful stretch, but okay. You can hear like a very minor slowdown when it comes to the audio. Yeah, there isn't absolutely like a delay in the audio quality.